Hello, everybody. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to my live. So, what's the subject for the live today? Well, it's H-1B time again. So, I wanted to talk a little about procedurally how you would prepare and file for the H-1B, which is really just a lottery at this point. And at least what my firm does as far as procedures go in order to try to make it happen. Okay? And then after, I will answer all the questions that you guys put, assuming it's related to immigration. And I'll scroll back, see what you put, and then we'll go from there. And I don't have a terribly long time today because I have my consults starting shortly, but I wanted to do a live before my consults start. Okay, so let's get to it. First, for those who are unfamiliar, the H-1B is essentially, it's called a specialty occupation visa. There's 65,000 of them issued per year, basically for people who have bachelor's degrees, and another 20,000, another 20,000 for people who have advanced degrees. Okay, so 85,000 altogether, and then there's a certain number that are taken right off the top from Singapore and Chile. So 85,000 altogether, and then there's a certain number that are taken right off the top from Singapore and Chile, okay, give or take. And the way the H-1Bs work is that the window opens up to file them once a year until they're all used up. And then once they're all used up, immigration says no more. And the people have to wait until the year after to try again. So how many H-1Bs basically are filed when the window opens up for these number of spots that I just told you about? Okay, give or take, we'll say 65,000. There's about 250 to 300,000 applications that go in. Okay, and there's probably going to be more this year. And what happens is you get it within the time frame, and then it literally, you can imagine there's a room of 300,000 applications, and basically there's people there that will grab off an envelope here, an envelope there, the package, an envelope there, and they'll pick out until they have the requisite amount, and then they will notify that the cap has been reached, and that's that. And the rest of everybody will get their applications back, say, basically, sorry, we didn't get picked, try again next year type thing. Why am I talking about H-1Bs now, and why am I talking about this? Well, that time of year has come again, okay? It is almost here where the window will open, and the reality is that the regular H-1Bs, they get used up and chosen within about a week to 2 weeks at the most. And then the advanced degree H-1Bs, you can add another, couple weeks, give or take. So if you're good at math, the percentage of chance that you will get picked, more or less 20-25% maybe, and it depends on the number of H-1Bs that are selected. So there's a 75 to 80% chance that you won't get selected. And some people think, okay, well, I'll do it this year, and then if I go next year and submit it, I'll have a better chance. And the answer is not. It's not like they know that you previously applied and put those envelopes and packages in a different section of the room. It goes with the same, selection. It goes with all of the rest of them. And so the way my firm handles it is we prepare first what I refer to as a skeletal H-1B application, okay? And the skeletal H-1B application is one that is submitted that has enough information in it that it won't get denied, but not near enough information to get approved. Okay? And why do I do that? Well, if there's an 80% chance of you not getting picked, as far as just talk about work and attorney's fees, why would you want to pay the entire amount of the H-1B when there's only a 20% chance you're going to be picked? Okay? And so when I enter into the agreements with people to do H-1Bs, it's two phases, okay? The first phase is the skeletal phase. Say, we will prepare a skeletal H-1B application, enough to pass muster that it should qualify, but not enough that it has, I would say skeletal application probably has 30% of the necessary information in there of a regular H-1B. And I say it'll cost this much, okay? And then what will happen is if that is selected, they being immigration, will send two things. They'll send, notification that the H-1B was selected. And two, they'll send a RFE, a request for evidence. Okay? They'll say, we need you to prepare or send us this, this, and that because your application doesn't have it. And I go, okay, fine. We knew you were going to send that. And so then we will complete the second phase is we will complete the H-1B and send the whole package in pronto so that hopefully it will get approved. And then the following October, that person will then be able to start on H-1B, whether they're outside the country and have to go to the consulate a couple weeks early to come in the U.S., or whether they're inside the U.S. and we did a change of status to H-1B. Okay? Just as a small aside, I can't even begin to tell you the number of times I get consults where they'll say, I'm here on H-1B. Is it okay if I open an LLC, start my own business, blah, blah, blah? And of course I tell them it's not okay. But when you think about it, they went through all the trouble to apply for the H-1B, to do everything that was required so they could get authorization to work for that company. What makes them think they can just, do a sideline business for whatever reason and go off on a tangent and do their own thing without authorization from immigration? Okay? I mean, it's a great, easy way to violate your status. Okay, that's my tangent. So if they get selected, then we compare, as far as the agreement goes that I'm with them, then they pay the normal price balance of the H-1B preparation, and then we send everything else in, okay? You have to be ready to rock and roll with your entire H-1B application, and by entire, I mean, enough so it won't get immediately denied. The skeletal application, you need to have it ready to go so it's in immigration's hands for the deadline, okay? And again, it's right around the corner. So you have to take care of business, okay? So that is, in essence, what needs to be done when filing for the H-1B. Now, obviously, if you file for an H-1B and you don't have, for example, the college degree or the equivalent, I generally don't like to do equivalent H-1Bs because they're quite difficult to prove. It's not that it's impossible, but a lot of times they'll qualify for other types of visas where they have a better chance. So, it has to be like progressive experience that is equivalent to the bachelor's degree. Let's say you're doing you're a marketing analyst. That doesn't just mean 5 years experience. That means 5 years of progressive experience related to what a degree holder would have. Okay? And so when you do the skeletal application, on its face, you have to basically qualify. So, I'll just exaggerate. Let's say you're doing, trying to get an H-1B for some guy who's going to be a trash collector. I mean, I'm not putting them down, but they don't need to have a college degree, okay? That's not normal for the industry. And they would never qualify for an H-1B, okay? Or a clerk or a cashier, things like that. I mean, there's other types of visas that they would qualify for, but not the H-1B. So if you're going to do the skeletal application, you got to make sure you qualify in the first place and that it's an appropriate position for the H-1B. And then they have what's called the LCA, okay? And the LCA is a big part of the H-1B. So if, for example, you're going to submit the skeletal application, you may or may not submit it without the LCA. I usually try to do it if I have time. But if, for example, they come in the door, 2 days before the deadline, it doesn't matter how good I am. You can't magically get the government to issue and stamp the LCA in 2 days. And so we submit it without the LCA, the skeletal application. Hope, of course, they don't deny it. And then if it's chosen, then they'll issue an RFE and say, send us the LCA with whatever else you didn't do. So the LCA takes time. So don't wait on that. Don't, even if you submit the skeletal application without the LCA, get the LCA done. So if you get chosen, boom, you can submit it with the RFE. All right. So that in a nutshell is on the H-1B, procedurally what you should do before it gets picked so you don't waste your time. Okay? All right. Let me scroll back, see if we have any questions for today. And if so, I'll answer them. If not, well then, sayonara. All right? Let's see. Let me just scroll down here. Okay. I put up my goal. It's 0 for 10. It's it's getting 10 roses. Okay. Let's see here. Just a minute. There were a lot of people that joined, but at least in the beginning, not a lot of questions. Second. Let me just scroll down here. Hello, the chosen. You got the #1 gifter badge. Okay. I appreciate you guys sending the likes. And Capitanu got the #2 gifter badge. Okay, just a second. Be patient with me. Okay, be patient. I'm almost... Oh, here we go. Here's the first question. If I'm undocumented, only have my green card, and join the military, can I fix my parents? Well, if you have your green card, you're not undocumented. Okay, if I'm understanding your question correctly. I think what you're saying is you used to be undocumented, and however it is, you have your green card, you want to join the military, and then you want to try to see if you can help your parents. I think that's what you're saying. And if that's what you're saying, the answer is no, not yet. Okay? I mean, it's fine that you want to join the military. That's great. But you have to, in order to be eligible to petition your parents, no matter what, you have to be a U.S. citizen, not just have the green card. So I don't know how long you've had the green card, but once you qualify, you can apply for citizenship. Then if you apply for your parents, and I'm assuming they did not enter the country legally, then if you're in the military, you can do what's called a parole in place, okay? So they can essentially, if the parole in place is approved by the immigration, then it gives the legal fiction that they entered legally, and then they'll be able to adjust status without having to leave, and they don't have to do waivers, at least for unlawful presence. All right? So I just gave Venny that answer. Let's see. Just a minute. What can someone do if they don't register for selective service and trying to naturalize? Well, there's a way of submitting the naturalization application and essentially requesting a waiver of that requirement. And when I do that, I have to explain why it wasn't done. And for the most part, if the person has already aged out, which they likely have, if they didn't know that they had to do it, and if there were issues with actually doing it at the time, then it can be waived. And of all the types of waivers that there are in immigration law, this is a pretty easy one to get. It just has to be properly presented. Okay? In a defensive asylum case, is it possible to change status based on marriage? Well, it all depends, okay? And by change status, you mean adjust status. If you're going to adjust status, then you have to be eligible in the first place. So I don't... Oh, thanks for the rose. Wow, thanks for all the roses, Alejandra. I don't know if you qualify at this point to adjust status based on marriage, okay? It's always possible that you might have to consular process and do waivers and so forth, but I first would need to see if, in fact, you would qualify. Now, secondly, you can't just get married for the purpose of trying to qualify. Okay, you actually have to love the person. And secondly, if you're in removal proceedings and you're applying for asylum based on being in removal proceedings, when you get married, the law says there's now a considerably higher burden you have to prove to show that you entered the marriage for love and not because you wanted to beat the deportation proceedings. So I can exaggerate here. Let's say you met your spouse 3 days ago and you have a 42-year difference and you live in 2 different states and you want to get married, but you're also in removal proceedings. Well, obviously they're going to look at that and say, you don't really love the person. You're doing that just to try to not be deported back to your home country. Okay? So it can be done, but I have to have more information. I'm an industrial mechanic for a big corporation. Can I apply? Okay. You're asking, I assume, since this live is on H-1B's, I'm assuming that you're asking if you qualify for an H-1B, okay? First of all, a mechanic, while very qualified at what you do, generally does not require a college degree, okay? But I'm not 100% sure about that. When you say industrial mechanic, I'm not certain what that means. Are you working like on the electrical systems of big air conditioners type things, okay? Or big airplanes, things like that? Do you need to have some kind of technical undergraduate degree in order to work as an industrial mechanic? Okay? If so, then yes, you can apply. And there's lots of different positions out there. So when I say I'm not sure, obviously when I take an H-1B case, I do the research, I determine what the norm is for that position, and then if the norm is a degree, then of course you're in, okay? There's lots of other requirements, but that would be the initial, okay? All right, let's see. Well, anyways, we got 997 likes. Come on, guys, you got to give me 3 more so I can get up to 1,000. All right, let's see. Oh, someone just sent a gift. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Yay! Wow, I got way above 1,000. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Wow. The hearts keep coming. Appreciate it. The husband didn't know he had to register for selective service. He's 31. What happens for his N400? Okay. I'm not sure if this is related to the question I just answered on this or if you're following up with it. But yeah, it's possible to apply for the waiver. But I need to know, did he already file it? Because if he already filed it and he didn't apply for the waiver, he's going to have some trouble. Okay? He's going to have to quickly amend it before he gets into the interview to show. Okay? So, I mean, he can definitely qualify, but it has to be done properly. Okay, my asylum appeal has been filed by an attorney. It's still pending since 2022. Can you review my files? Well, my firm can be retained to review the entire file to see what's going on, not only to see if something was not done properly. Wow, I got 2,000 likes, guys. Thanks. Not just to see if something wasn't done properly, but to see if there's other forms of relief too. Sometimes people are so focused on one form of relief that they don't see other avenues. It's like you got to get to the other side, right, of a forest, and all you're looking at is one path. And as you're walking down that path, you don't see that there's branches that go off that might lead you to where you need to go. Okay? That's what I do. I find those branches if needed. But also, if the appeal wasn't done properly, or if it could be supplemented, or if it could be made better, my firm can also help with that. So give me a call. Set up a time for a consult. Okay. If your EAD expires but you're no longer employed, what is the time frame for you to leave the U.S.? That depends on what the basis of your EAD is. I mean, for example, on an H-1B, you have 60 days. Okay? But on others, sometimes, when it expires, you just need to be out. Okay? So the idea is to do a change of status before. Now, I'm suspecting if you say you're on an EAD but no longer employed, you either got fired, quit, or laid off, or the company went out of business. So you're probably on an H-1B, right? So you have 60 days to do a change of status or to file another H-1B. The good part is that you'll fall under the portability provisions of the H-1B, and you don't have to worry about the lottery. So the whole purpose of this particular live doesn't apply to you because you've already applied for the H-1B and you don't have to do it again. Oh, I got 3,000 likes, guys. Wow. God, it was just at 997, and I said, guys, help me, and boom. Appreciate it. Oh, you're welcome. Okay. Thank you for the gift. Can an Afghan national entered U.S. last month get paroled? Can he still apply for TPS? It's not TPS really. It's a special program made for Afghans, and while it still exists as we talk, Trump's doing everything he can to stop every possible type of help for people coming in. So you need to try to find another way. It doesn't mean that you can't apply for asylum, okay, if you qualify. So again, give my office a call. You might qualify for asylum as well. Right in the middle of when I was reading your question, it scrolled up. Just a minute. Hi, lawyer. I'm married to a U.S. citizen and filed documents and I have a work permit. Can I go work? Well, if what you're saying is that you filed the marriage petition and you received the work permit, then yes, you can go work because that's the purpose of it. If what you're saying is that you have filed for the work permit but have not yet received it, the answer is no, you don't qualify to work, okay? Amy Tange just got the number 2 gifter badge. Okay, just a second. Can I fly with my wife to visit her family if I have a marriage case pending? Well, 2 things about that. 1, do you qualify to adjust? Assuming you do, are you inadmissible based on unlawful presence, which you may be? And in which case the answer is no. And 3rd, did you apply for advanced parole? If the first 2 are in the negative. So the answer is if you're not inadmissible, not unlawfully present, and don't have any issues, basically, you can apply for unlawful presence. You can apply for advanced parole, and once that's approved, then you can leave. If you leave right now while your marriage case is pending without an advance parole, you have just abandoned the case as though you never filed it. You may as well have just taken it and thrown it in the garbage. And you're going to have to wait outside for consular processing. Okay, so you've got to do it right. The answer is yes, but you have to do it right. All right. Do you assist with motions to vacate? Yes, depending. Okay, I'm assuming that you have a crime and that you're an aggravated felon and that you don't qualify for immigration relief and that you want to try to qualify, so you want to try to do a motion to vacate the crime. The answer is yes, but I need to see what the crime is. I need to see if you actually need to do a motion to vacate. Again, this is the same thing. Sometimes people read on the internet that, if you get a motion to vacate, you can, the whole world opens up. And I look at the case for 2 minutes and I determined they don't need it and that they could have filed for a normal immigration waiver and done that years ago. Okay. Okay, my 129F was sent. I have about 4 minutes left, so I'll get as many questions as I can in that time. My 129F was sent to Department of State a month ago. I've heard nothing from the NVC. What do I do? Okay, a month in immigration time is like blinking your eyes, okay? I mean, it's nothing. You got to wait 3 to 6 months, okay? If you haven't heard anything in 3 to 6 months, let me know. There's ways to push it along. But 1 month? We're talking U.S. immigration here, Not an H-1B, an F-1. Well, okay, this is the guy that you said your EAD expired. And now you say you're not on H-1B, but F-1. The only way you're going to have received an EAD with an F-1, which is a student visa, is if you had OPT. Okay? And if you had OPT and you worked until the end of your OPT without doing anything else, then you have 60 days from that time. Okay? Vanish got the number 2 gifter badge. Looks like I have time for one more question. Okay. Let's see. I've been waiting. This is the last question. Lewis, you got the last question. Been waiting 30 months for an I-485 USC wife. Is that normal? The answer is no. That's not normal. Something's wrong. So I would need to review what's going on, see if everything was done correctly, and then assuming it was, and assuming it's just pending for this long, we would need to file what's called a writ of mandamus. Okay, a writ of mandamus lights the fire under USCIS to get off their rears and to make a decision. Okay, so I don't do that unless it's a good case, unless it's a totally approvable case in the first place, because it doesn't force them to say yes, it forces them to make a decision, so they can certainly say no. Okay? All right. Well, I'm sorry for the questions I didn't get to, but, I got to give consults. So everybody enjoy the rest of your day. If I didn't get to your questions, go ahead and email me or call my office for a consult, and I'll help you in that way. All right? Everybody enjoy the rest of your day.